staged event that never actually took place. What followed was an excuse by President Lyndon Johnson to dramatically expand the scale of the Vietnam War, ultimately at the cost of 3 or 4 million dead Vietnamese and 58,000 Americans. June 8, 1967. The USS Liberty, an American naval vessel sailing off the coast of Gaza, was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of Israel. The well-coordinated attack, which lasted for hours, resulted in the deaths of 34 crewmen, 170 injured, and catastrophic damage to the ship, one of the most highly decorated vessels in U.S. history. Egypt was to be blamed for the attack, to serve as a pretext to drag the U.S. and her allies into war in the Middle East. If not for the heroic efforts of the ship's captain and his brave crew, the Liberty would have faced almost certain destruction. The truth about Israel's attack and subsequent White House cover-up continues to be officially concealed from the American people to this day.
All right, and again, that's a report on just some of the more recent false flag events. Now, if you're watching us via Prisonplanet.tv, you can see this, or you can go out and find it on the newsstands everywhere. Here's a USA Today article on the cover of USA Today today, and it says, in Egypt, revolution is fading, citizens facing a ailing economy and a new tyranny. And it's on record that the United States financed the revolutionary forces and the ouster of Hosni Mubarak, the 32-year dictator, who I'm not defending. He tortured people, he did all that, but compared to what's in charge now, he was a good guy. I didn't defend our government helping put him in power and keeping him in power. The point is they threw him out and are now putting in Al-Qaeda and the Muslim Brotherhood, and the women are all going to have to wear burqas now, and they're killing people in the streets, and it's many times worse. And this is what they replaced it with. And they're going to do the same thing in Syria, same thing in Libya has now happened. And again, I'm told I've got to give up all my rights or Al-Qaeda will get me, and Al-Qaeda publicly works for the criminals that have taken our government over. And people are like, well, you know, the U.S. uses them to deal with our enemies. The very same corporate interests that run our intelligence agencies are overthrowing our Bill of Rights and Constitution. They're enslaving us. They're paying companies with tax incentives and bailout money to leave. They want to destroy societies. They want to wreck things. They want to be in their armored compounds, and the rest of us are running around outside their, high-tech reservations. They're inside their big armored fortresses. We're outside of them. And these globalists hate humanity. They're not Americans. They're playing us off against each other, and it's so disgusting to know that the very groups trying to start this Iran war and telling those of us that aren't for it that we're not patriotic or we're not tough are the very ones that are going to stage terror attacks in this country. I mean, the head of National Security Council, Clapper, wrote 2 weeks ago, and we covered it publicly in white papers to the elites. But again, I say publicly, it was never on the news, that we need to have some type of staged provocation to attack Iran, and it would sure be helpful. Kind of like the CFR and others have written things similar before. They're openly talking about how great false flags are going to be, and then magically we start hearing Iran's going to hit us any minute, get ready for World War III. Why would Iran attack something here in the United States knowing that it's going to elicit a giant military attack on their own country? Iran has already put up with 5 years of U.S. and Israeli-backed groups blowing up military bases, blowing up weapons depots, assassinating and killing people. It's been going on 5 years. Now it's just accelerated and is admitted. And again, I'm not saying Assad's good. I'm not saying Ahmadinejad's good. The point is that the West wants to destabilize, because the people that run the West want to destabilize the whole world because they're in control, and through the destabilization, they can consolidate power. This is the message I'm trying to get out to you. And I had intended, this is not a religious show, but I am a Christian. I do believe in God. They say there are no atheists in foxholes, but the atheists tell me that there are. All I know is that we need to repent. We need to be sorry for what we've done. We need to be sorry for being decadent, for not being involved. And we need to cry out to God to help wake people up and to help turn this around and to help get these evil people out, because the power of prayer has been proven, whatever you think's behind it. And I just love God, and I just woke up over and over again last night feeling like I should come on air and really just tell people one of the biggest answers is prayer. And I think when we start the second segment, I'm going to say a prayer on air. Well, the establishment corporate whore media ignored the massive Ron Paul Veterans March. We have a compilation of videos and articles at Infowars.com. They're in the featured news segment. And hopefully tonight on the Nightly News, the guys can put together a boil down of that for folks. I think that's a good idea. Here I am directing the news crew from the road live on the radio. Also, terror war cheerleader gets reality check on underwear bomber facts. We're going to play some clips of that from C-SPAN coming up in the next segment. Excellent article up at Infowars.com on eugenics, effective by incrementalism. Also, new Ron Paul 2012 ad slams Santorum as fake. Scary NSA propaganda says anonymous cyber attack will take down the power grid. Also, Minority Report style advertising rolled out in London, pre-crime. Election 2012, just one more created and crafted illusion. That's just some of the news up at Infowars.com and Prisonplanet.com. And please, viewers and listeners, remember, the system is doing everything it can to restrict this information. They are blocking us on Google News. They are blocking us on many Wi-Fi systems around the world and in different internet databases and different filters, putting us in the hacking section or whatever. The system is scared of what Infowars.com is doing as a focal point of liberty. But you can override that by putting out our info on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, hammering the enemy hard. So please continue to spread the word about Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.tv. It is really up to you whether or not we're going to have success at this. We've got our guest coming up, and I'm running out of time. I was going to have the guest on for 2 hours and already backed him off 30 because I haven't talked about how incredible it is to meet with our listeners like I did. And I don't know why. I can't describe why. In a way, I don't like doing it. All I can say is to see these people with their eyes on fire with liberty and the people with their children and just what quality people our listeners are. And to have them all looking up to me, admiring me, and it's just, I don't feel worthy. I guess that's what it is. It makes me blush. But I think it's good. I mean, I should do more public events because it recharges me. And it really gets my head screwed on straight. Because I'm the opposite of somebody on a power trip, the opposite of somebody, who likes being in crowds or likes getting awards or likes things like that. I just kind of like stomping around behind the scenes, my own little system, and basically throwing, rocks and shooting arrows at the New World Order. But I do tend to get hateful and crotchety, kind of like a Archie Bunker on steroids, and I get so close to just the nuts and bolts and the technical stuff of just trying to keep my system going to fight them that I do kind of turn into like this mean creature. And it is good to just go out and actually see people, but it just blew me away. It just totally blows me away. And I know I'm obnoxious. I know I get excited and interrupt people. And I know that I do all these things. And I try to change it, but I can't change who I am. Because I am real and it's not scripted, then I can't change. Isn't there a Leonard Skinner song about that? It doesn't matter. In the final equation, I'm doing what I can. I just can't believe how hardcore reality is and how down to the wire we are and how important it is what you're doing out there to wake others up. I cannot stress to you enough, there's going to come a time where we're probably not going to be on air if we don't turn this around soon. There's going to come a time where things get a lot darker. We got to work now with the sun is still shining. There is a universal law. What comes around goes around. You reap what you sow. You can call it karma. Back on you. And there's also a law that if you've been shielded from your actions for a long time, when the dam finally does break, it's going to be, you know, what to pay. And in our name and through our energy, our money, our taxes, our ingenuity, the United States and Europe has been used to build a giant evil. And all of the tyranny, all of the oppression, all of these systems that have been exported worldwide are now coming back to roost here at home. And again, the system plans on attacking Iran, attacking other countries through proxies, putting Al-Qaeda in charge. That's now public. All of this is out in the open. The globalists aren't even attempting to hide things. And what's frightening about that is it signifies that they intend to go for broke. They're following a long-term strategic plan. And the Middle East is only the secondary target. The Western world is the main target of the war because they're able to consolidate power. They're able to consolidate control. They're able to crack down on populations during a war. And there has been massive sustained buildup towards martial law preparations in this country, Europe, and every other major wealthy Western nation. We are the target of the military-industrial complex itself, controlled by the big mega banks that hate our way of life, that hate freedom. But because they wear suits and ties, they talk like us, and they're basically a mafia, people don't know how to recognize them. And then they dangle the guys in the turbans and stuff. Give up your rights or these guys will get you, while they publicly control them. And it's hiding in plain view. It's there. It's very simple what's happening. It's full spectrum dominance, where the globalists are waging war against everyone. They control the entire process. They control all sides. And either we have an awakening to this and say no, or we lose our society. And I want to go to a clip of that in a moment with some good news, because I see this now all the time. Terror war cheerleader gets reality check on underwear bomber facts. C-SPAN callers hammer home U.S. government's role in aiding the underwear bomber. But before I get to that, it just really hit me hard last night. In the middle of the night, repeatedly, I kept waking up. Just how close we are to midnight here. Just how imminent this expansion of tyranny is. And so I just want to pray that everybody out there be moved in whatever way is best for them to wake others up and to get prepared and to try to warn everyone we know that serious, premeditated, very wicked evil has been setting up a system of total takeover, and that the tyrants that we have are the worst variety I've ever studied or ever seen. And that the Bill of Rights and Constitution is a hedge of protection that our forebears set up against it. And they said, oh, don't worry about that. Let us get rid of that. And you notice now that they're phasing that out through fraud, all of our basic freedoms are disappearing out the window. So I just want to pray to our Heavenly Father, Jesus, our Creator. I mean, whoever's out there, whatever God you believe in, or even if you don't believe in God, obviously you haven't experienced the things I've experienced. Just please don't make fun